Well, I went and got a just a little water bottle and filled it up, and it was easy to use this to pour. I'll pull back and show you what I was doing, but I got smart this time and I found a little piece of plastic pipe that I could screw into the threads, so it's not, when it comes to the dribble part, it's not going down the frame and dripping all over the road. But I've cleaned out the I've gone, I probably put another 1.5 gallons of straight water through it, through the filler neck right in here, and then through the where I have the thermostat pulled. Let me show you that. So it was easy to get down here and pour water into the hole. So I filled it up as far as I could, go, and it came up to before it was, overflowing. I added some more to the filler neck, but I didn't want to. It came up a little higher, so but it didn't go over. So I've got enough. It's flushed out enough now, because there was quite a bit of color on the first go around, still coming out of the radiator. But it's should be better. And I pulled this hose off here, and this one's the one that goes down to the little fitting on the side of the throttle body housing where air screw 1 and 2 are. And let me show you that. Now this little guy is on the side of the throttle body, and the screws for adjusting the throttle cylinder 1 and 2 air screws are underneath here. But this is part of the cooling system, mainly to tell this little valve down here, the mechanism inside this part, that the engine's cold. And then once it gets hot water in there, then it's like a thermostat, and the little spring pushes over, and then it cuts off the extra fuel going in on a cold start. When I first took this is the top of the part that comes off above the thermostat. When I took it off, it was all corroded up in here. And one of the things I found over the years of maintenance work, and I didn't want to scrape it off with a knife because I knew it would, you might be able to ding it or whatever and ruin the surface. So what I do, take really fine sandpaper. I think this is what, 120, but it's Chinese stuff, and I think it's even finer than that. So you put it on a flat surface, like I'm using the bed on my bandsaw here, a table saw or something is really flat. But this one of those cutting tools, like a table saw or a bandsaw, and you just put it on there and slide it around. Move it around so you don't put pressure on one side, and just keep at it, and you'll come up with a nice shiny surface. Now I got to do the same thing on the engine side. And the thermostat we've seen earlier on the tests is okay. I mean, it's working fine, but it's got some rings in the rubber seal where it's been compressed for, since '08 probably, when it was put together. And so I think for 30 bucks I'm going to go ahead and put a new thermostat in it, just for S&Gs. And the other thing I took out was, which I didn't videotape, was I took out the thermo sensor, which is a little plug thing that fits right next to the thermostat, and I'll show you that in a minute, because it took me a while to figure out how to get the damn thing out, because the plug is bigger than the threads underneath, and it's all hidden in behind, so it's almost impossible to get a socket over any. Well, it wouldn't fit because the plastic of the coupling, electrical connection coupling, is in the way. So I'll show you what I did in case you ever have to do it. You have to have a box end and one that has the angle to it. Let me show you. Now that thermo switch is sitting right down there. That little green tap. And you have to use a wrench that has, well, where's it? Get in here. You want one that's angled. Has an angle, because you got to come down through the side opening here. And I've got the plug back on, so I can't show you, but you can pull the plug off first, and then you come down in here and you can start running it around. And I think this one's at 8-point. 12-point would make it even work better, but well, this may be a 12.2. But that's the only way you're going to get to it. You really don't have a good grip on it because there's a proud metal around where they machined this, so you have to have almost a round wrench because you can't get in this way, so you have to come in through the side. And I took the thermocouple sensor out while I was doing all the testing of the thermostat inside the kitchen. I already had the thermometer out and the little pan out in the water, and so I got out my fluke meter, and boy, I'll tell you, it's it's a pain trying to get the probes down in there. They tell you don't drop it. If you drop it, you got to buy a new one, and not to get the terminals wet. And it's hot. But when I first tried it or took the measurements, the ohm readings, it was like 2.64, and I think it's supposed to be like 2.32 to 2.5 something. But that was at 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was cooler in here. But I didn't think about that at the time until later. But then when it heats up, you watch it as it goes down, and it's at around 80 degrees Celsius. It's supposed to be about 300 ohms. So it goes from high reading down to a low reading, and you can watch it, go down. So and be patient. So sometimes the first time you do that test, it may seem like it's higher than what it should be. Maybe it's like 500 or 600, but steady the stove down to get it to where the thermometer is hovering around 80. Adjust the dial on either the gas or the electric, and then do your test, and then you're sure that you're going to get a right reading. So I also got a new gasket, but I'll do that when I'm putting the plug back in. Well, I went over to my hardware store this morning and got a O-ring out of the metric section. I took the old one off and measured it, and then this one is a 2 millimeter thick, 10 millimeter inside diameter, 14 millimeter outside diameter, and it's a perfect match for the OEM, which you want to put them separate so you know which is new and which isn't. So go ahead and roll it down. You can tell I can tell, you probably can't see it here, but the old one was squished, and the new one's standing proud like an O-ring should. So let me go ahead and thread these guys by hand. I also, just to make certain everything was drained, as I tipped the scooter over this direction, and I got a few ounces more water that was collecting down in the U-shaped part of the there's no torque setting on this, but this is about, I don't know, a 5-inch wrench, so it's flush with the surface, so that should be good. But I won't put any fluids in it until I get the thermostat, decide whether to buy a new one or not. And the other thing we want to do before I forget it is we want to take and drain there's a little scissors, a little clamp down here, a little wire clamp on the outlet. Pull the hose off. Drain the little tank. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off. It's got some 10 millimeter bolts here, and a little overflow hose that goes through a little clamp. Well, got the tank off, emptied it, flushed it out. If I was really anal, I would have flushed it out with distilled water, but I can't imagine being any chemicals left in there by the time I get done. So let me go ahead and put this back on. So it's basically a couple bolts, and this goes through this fitting right down here, and then hook on the hose on the bottom, and we'll refill this after we top off the system. Did much soul searching, head scratching online. I was down to the Haviland Extended Life 5050, or the Peak. I called the 800 number on Haviland, and they said, yeah, it's good for motorcycles. And then I got a gallon of distilled water. I'm going to flush I got a gallon of it. That's enough for 2 complete flushes, so I'll go ahead and do that. And then I mentioned I was going to put some tape, Thermo Shield by Coolant, Thermotech. I think it's made in the US. Yeah, made in the USA. It's a fiberglass backed tape. This is the sticky back, and then there's the aluminum foil in the front, and then there's a fiberglass tape in between, and it's supposed to be rated for 2,000 degrees. And I went and coated. You got the big foam pad here, and then another one down here that the mice was chewing away on. But I got the bottom of the tank all done, and I've set it in the scoot, and it fits. So there's plenty of clearance all the way around. I got a little bit left. I'm trying to decide whether to do the band around here, or whether this is enough that the heat coming off here will rise and not affect this. So I still have a day or two to decide how I'm going to do it. And I took the pump out so I can clean out the tank, and there was nothing inside other than that leftover gas and then the oily gas that you saw in that other video. So until the pump and the thermostat come in, it's kind of like, I can't really do anything. And then here's what, when you take a T-Max apart, you got parts down to where I'm at now. You got parts all over the place, and there's more parts on the other side of the bench on the floor. So if you were a mechanic at a T-Max or a Yamaha shop, you'd dread one of these things coming in and figuring out where you're going to put all this stuff. And one of the reasons I do the bags, bolts to hold down the tank, everything for the tank is in this bag. It's been enough days, number of days since I took this apart, that you can tend to be a little forgetful of where things go. So if you just take them off and pile them and throw the nuts and bolts and the pop pins in, you'll never know what's going to go on. You'll most likely miss something, and whether or not it's a problem later down the line, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I know when I took off the panels this time, there was a couple screws missing, and I don't know if they had backed out, or whether or not I lost them somewhere along the last time I took the panels off. So we'll come back later.